Trans Am season began at the Long Beach Grand Prix. Randy Ruhlman surprised everyone. A great race, his first career win after 147 Trans Am starts. Last week in Portland, Oregon, rookie driver Klaus Graf was the story. He snagged his first career pole and his first career victory. Now it's two races back-to-back on to Cleveland. He makes his 200th career start today. That's a record. He's looking for his first win of the season. It would be his 30th all-time, and that, too, would be a new record, passing the legendary Mark Donohue on the all-time wins list. It's Trans Am on the Tarmac from Cleveland, Ohio. It's next on Speed. And welcome to Burke Lakefront Airport on the shores of Lake Erie in the city of Cleveland. Third race of 2005 for the Trans Am Series. It's called Trans Am on the Tarmac. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Derek Daly is alongside on a steaming hot weekend. Easily the hottest racing weekend of the summer so far. This will be a challenging outing, certainly, for these 14 cars and drivers.
It really will, but Trans Am always provides some spectacular racing here on Cleveland. And, of course, we didn't expect the fireworks to start as early as they did yesterday.
A couple of key contenders in the wall yesterday, including the points leader.
Randy Ruhlman is having such a great season, but he had a big crash yesterday during practice. He was halfway down the pit straight and boom! He just walloped the concrete wall, had a breakage in the rear suspension, and look at that car, completely demolished. They flew in a fabricator yesterday from Minnesota who worked all night chopping the front off that car, welding, rebuilding it, and to the surprise of everybody, and a lot of people came to help this, they actually managed to build this thing back together again.
Well, Randy Ruhlman, after that repair job, will have to come from the rear today. He is the points leader. He's with Ralph Shaheen.
Look at this car, Rick. This is the kind of work you would think a brand new Corvette would look like. And who would know that it took 18 hours of work to get this car looking properly after being destroyed in that wreck? And Randy Ruhlman, boy, you got your work cut out for you today. How good is the car? You have had it on the track since the guys got done working on it.
Yeah, Ralph, we were able to get it on track this morning for warm-up, and the car is extremely fast. We're real pleased with it, and it's only fast because of the team that's preparing it, and I can't say enough for that Durhog Motorsports team and the work they went through last night getting this thing ready to go.
They have done a tremendous amount of work, Rick. Nobody on the team got any sleep. They're pretty beat, but the car ran well in the warm-up session, and that has inspired them.
Well, he'll have to come from the 7th row today. Now, the series champion, the reigning champion, Paul Gentilozzi, did the same thing here a year ago. Gentilozzi himself had problems on Friday. Let's take a look at what happened as he came through the turn 7 and 8 complex. Have a look at this.
This was a mechanical failure. Look at the water around the left front suspension, loses the grip and just plows the Jaguar straight into the tire barrier. Not as much damage as Ruhlman, but still a major rebuild.
So Gentilozzi's car is ready to go today. The reigning series champion is standing by down on the grid here at Cleveland this afternoon with Jan Bikas.
He is, Rick, and you mentioned the same thing happened last year in the same corner, but last year they had to go to a show car, fly it in. He started in the back of the pack. He went from the back to the front. It was one of the most dramatic Trans Am races. Now you're up at the front, but it's your 200th start. What are your thoughts about this milestone?
Well, when you do the first one, you never think about doing 200. It's a real honor to be part of the 40-year history of Trans Am. I can't tell you how much fun I've had, how many great people I've met, and what a thrill it is to be part of this.
And I know what you really want to do today is get that 30th win. What about your teammate, Klaus Graf?
Well, he's going to have to beat me.
No team orders here. Let's get back to Ralph.
Well, normally Bob Ruhlman is strapped inside the 23, but Amy Rubin's taking over the driving duties today. Okay, Amy, it's your first start in a full-fledged Trans Am race. How excited are you?
Yeah, I'm really excited about today. I think the McNichol-Sunwell's got a real good chance. I'm going to try to be in the top 5, and I'm going to try to win that GT1 today.
She's fired up and ready to go, and in just a second, Rick, so it's going to be her car.
Amy Ruhlman in the 23 making her first Trans Am start. She is a strong GT1 competitor in SCCA National Action. On the front row, remember they invert the top 5. John Balcom has the pole in his Mustang. Max Lagat in the Hypermax Chevrolet will start alongside. Second row, one of the Rocket Sports cars, Tommy Dreese's Fantastic 4 car, alongside the series champion, the Jaguar R Performance, number 1 of Gentilozzi. Klaus Graf starts 5th. He won last week. He's in car number 7, the Jaguar R Performance entry. Paul Fix in the 77 lines up in 6th spot. Amy Ruhlman will have to come from 7th today in the McNichols 23. Tim Cowan in the Cowan Truck Lines Mustang starts 8th. Philip Sims in the Sims Motorsports 24, and Mike Davis in the ACS Computer Systems machine. He'll start 10th. Hema Mayer in the 78, that's the other Durhog Motorsports entry. And Joey Scarallo on the 06, a new motor in that car. He'll start 12th in the Toyo Tires entry. Randy Ruhlman has to start shotgun on the field in his PLP car, the 49. And Chaba Buidoso will start last. He's a GT1 competitor. Didn't get to take a time yesterday. That is car number 93. The engines have fired along pit road. We'll be ready to roll the cars out and put them under green in Cleveland, Ohio in just a moment. Welcome back on Speed. Coverage of the Trans Am Tour in 2005 with Derek Daly. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jan Beekes, Ralph Shaheen on pit road on a steamy summer afternoon. First really hot racing weekend we've had. We were, of course, in Monterrey, Mexico back in May. Plenty warm down there, but you expect that there. Now, though, the central U.S. really starting to heat up as we reach midsummer. Front row, John Bauckham, 5th quick qualifier. Max Lagarde, who was the 4th fastest qualifier in the yellow 83 top 5 inverted. Nearly 90 degrees. It feels more like 190 to some of these drivers and teams. 90% humidity, a little bit of wind out of the northeast, and light cloud cover. Really, it's a sunny, hot summer day.
And these cars are not insulated like you would imagine a road car to be. So the engine heat from the front, the exhaust pipes run down the side of the car. They retain the heat. It is literally like an oven inside these things. So it is a hot day's work. And remember, they wear 5 layers of fireproof clothing and a balaclava and a helmet. So this is a hot, steamy day's work for these boys.
Just before we took the green, some patch has been put down on part of the surface here. Ready to go racing in Cleveland. Glad to have you with us on Speed. Coming from the back, the Jaguars. That's Gentilozzi on the outside. He wants the lead in turn 1.
Oh, 2 Jags banging off each other. Dreesy down the inside.
Klaus Graf making a move to go to second spot as well. That's Gentilozzi. He's got the lead.
Well, I'm just glad to see they made it all safely through turn 1. Turn 1 over the years at Cleveland has been just carnage central. But Paul Gentilozzi, the historical day potentially for him, but I will tell you, Klaus Graf, this German driver who won in Portland, is very special and very talented.
Well, Derek, last week you were at the USGP in Indianapolis. The Rocket Sports cars have had reliability issues so far this season. Gentilozzi's car had problems, didn't make it to the checkered flag. Graf's finish, the win, was the first finish of the season for the 3-car team.
And we remember as these cars got developed last year with Tommy Kendall, how many times Tommy had to retire. We saw Paul crash. We saw it at the top of the show again with a mechanical failure with the water coming out of the radiator. So, but these Jaguars, when they're at the front like this, are very, very fast. It was Tommy Dreesy and Klaus Graf who touched each other on the way into that first corner.
John Bauckham was the leader. He was the pole sitter after qualifying in 5th spot. But it's Gentilozzi and Graf as we complete lap 1. Here comes Dreesy inside Max Lagarde for 4th. The fantastic 4 Rocket Sports Jaguar makes a move to 4th spot. So John Bauckham is there in 3rd, and 4th belongs to the car of Dreesy. 5th is Lagarde. Amy Ruhlman rides 6th. Paul Fix is next in line in 7th in that Mustang, the 77. Phil Sims, Tim Cowan, Joey Scarallo trying to move up from the back of the field. And then Randy Ruhlman was shown 12th first time by. 48 laps the distance here, 100 miles at Cleveland. This is the fantastic 4 Rocket Sports Jaguar of Tommy Dreesy, once a winner in his Trans Am career. Paul Gentilozzi trying to set a legendary mark here today. Gentilozzi with 29 career wins, same as Mark Donohue. Another look at this. They took the green. Take a look at Gentilozzi on the outside.
Gentilozzi down here, nice to say, but watch Graf right here. Oh, bang, bang. There he goes, bang, trying to move Dreesy over to give himself a good line down the inside. Look at this here. Gets a good line, gets a run out past John Bauckham and Max Lagarde and slots in second place behind his team leader, Paul Gentilozzi.
Now, in a situation like this, Paul has always said no team orders in Rocket Sports. But with that record that's in play today, it would be his 30th career win, and it would set an all-time mark. Does Graf just act as wingman today?
I don't know. I doubt there's team orders. Paul did tell us at the top of the show he's going to beat me if he's going to win this race.
Jan Beekes.
I can tell you about the team owners because I asked that question of both the drivers. First of Paul Gentilozzi, team owner, he said absolutely not. When I hired Hans Graf, I want to race him. I am not telling him to give me the victory. I know it's a milestone, so I figured, well, that's what the boss said. But I also checked with Hans, and he said absolutely not. I'm here to race, and when Paul puts his helmet on, he gives you no presents. Now I'm giving none back.
Well, Hans might have said that, but Klaus, I can tell you, wants to push things here a little bit. Klaus Graf, of course, he is so experienced in these type of racing cars in Europe, did the DTM, the German Championship for so many years.
Porsche Super Cup.
Right, but he's learning all new racetracks as he comes over here to America. It takes him a little bit of time to acclimatize. Didn't take him that long. Wins the second time out. But I believe he will be cognizant that here at Cleveland, it is fast. It is very hard on the brakes. It is so hot today. The tire management and mechanical sympathy with the vehicle always pays dividends at the end. So the two Jag boys might be stretching the lead just a little bit here, but they will both understand just how long and difficult mechanically and physically inside the car this race can be.
John Baucom's Mustang in third. The Jaguar of Tommy Dreese is fourth. That's the white car with the green trim. Fantastic Four, the movie, the sponsor of Dreese's ride this weekend. This spot belongs to Max Lagat. Amy Ruman, her first career Trans Am start. She is sixth in that McNichols Corvette that her dad Bob has wheeled with such authority for such a long time. Joyce Garello's advanced to seventh in front of Paul Fix. Sims, Randy Ruman up to 10th. Ruman struggling to get going in the early laps. We're in Cleveland. We'll be back. Back on speed, plenty of action on the tarmac at Cleveland down in turn one. Amy Ruman trying to make a move up on Tommy Dreese. Look at Amy Ruman get going. Is that Joyce Garello on the move?
It is Joey down the inside. This has been quite a tussle here. Joyce Garello actually had the second fastest lap next to the two Jags. They were in the 7, they were in the 16s, or in the 15s. Joyce Garello was in the 16s, so we looked for him to have some real speed, but in a great dust-up there with Tommy Dreese. You got Ford, you got Chevrolet Corvette, you got Jaguar, you got another Corvette in that Ford group there. Gentilozzi continues to lead. Klaus Graf in second spot. This is John Baucom in that green and yellow Mustang, the 86. He is third. The two black and red Corvettes, the one driven by Scarallo that you see here, and Amy Ruman's car almost identical in paint scheme. She's further back a couple of spots. Scarallo's the driver who's been on the move. They changed motors, Derek, this morning. He had to start at the back as well. Right, so the leaders are almost 6 seconds ahead, but look at the blue car left of your screen there. You'll see it right here. This is Randy Ruhlman. He is on a charge. Now he's up into the top 8. So Randy Ruhlman now, the next car he's going to catch is Amy Ruhlman. And Amy Ruhlman is actually having a good run. We watched her lap times also. She's in the 17s, which is only slower than Gentilozzi, Graf, and Scarello.
Scarello, meantime, has gotten by Baucom, so put Joyce Scarello up in third spot. A very strong run for the youngster from Long Island, New York. And here is the car of Tommy Dreese now. He's going to try to shoulder his way by Baucom. And he makes the move.
And this, of course, is on the airport runways in Cleveland. One of the difficulties here for the drivers is it is so wide, it is actually quite difficult to pick out brake marker points. But there is loads of room here. It is very fast, long drifting corners. Here we go between two of the runways. Here's the top of the racetrack. Look how wide it is, 90 feet wide right there, and a long double right-hander. First apex right here. You drift, drift. That's where Gentilozzi crashed earlier, and then the next right-hander.
There are the two Jaguar R performance entries. Paul Gentilozzi and Carnival on the leader. Klaus Graf, last week's winner in the 7 car, running in second spot. Randy Ruhlman is on the charge in Jim Durhag's preformed line products 49 Chevrolet. Ruhlman up to 6th, and he is tracking down Tommy Dreese, Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Randy Ruhlman is having a fantastic run, Rick. It took 8 to 9 guys 18 hours to put this car back together. The fabricator that came in from Minnesota is a gentleman by the name of Gary Gay. Now, Gary is a guy that Jim Durhag, who owns Randy Ruhlman's car, actually competed against back in the 70s. They've known each other that long. He's here watching the race. He's only been to about 3. He tends to stay back at the shop and keep the cars ready to go. And apparently when it comes to teammates, him and Jim Durhag work very well together.
Well, here's how good a job he did. Randy Ruhlman just did a 15.5. And at that lap, it was the second fastest lap of the race, next to Joey Scarello. So Scarello and Randy Ruhlman are actually running faster at this particular time than Gentilozzi and Graf. This could get really good here.
Chevrolet Corvette horsepower on this big, fast racetrack at Burke Lakefront Airport. They've been coming here for 24 years. This is the 15th time that Trans Am has competed as part of the Champ Car World Series weekend in Cleveland. Here's a look back at the battle. Scarello is third. This is Dreese in fourth. Baucom in fifth. Ruhlman had a thought he might dive to the inside, I think, there.
Just got to make sure there's so much room here. You got to make pretty sure you're going to make the pass. But down the inside here, that's the favorite zone to dive bomb somebody down the inside. Just take the apex away from them.
This is the battle for third spot. Max Legato is on the front row in trouble. Jan?
Yeah, he's been on pit road the last few laps. They had an overheating problem, so they tried to add as much water as they could. Do not know if they have resolved it, but he's going to try and do a few laps and see if by chance those temperatures come down.
And Max's dad, Jerry, is here, still builds those diesel truck pulls. Apparently they have the fastest Ford F-150 ever built. But very much a family effort. There's some of the water that leaked out. So if they're in trouble, remember we mentioned the heat earlier on. If they're in trouble after 10 laps, they're going to really have to nurse that thing home.
Working lap 10 right now. This is still the battle for fourth. Dreesy in the 5. That's the fantastic Ford Jaguar. The car of John Bauckham, the Mustang. He is back in 5th. Randy Ruhlman tucked into 6th at the moment.
Look at Scarello.
Scarello, I was going to say.
Wow.
He has chopped into the advantage of Graf and Gentilozzi. He's only 2 seconds behind the leaders right now.
Joey Scarello just set the fastest lap of the race at a 1:15.0, which at this particular time is 1.5 seconds quicker than Gentilozzi and Klaus Graf. Wow, from the back of the grid with this new engine.
Now, Tony Ave is in charge of this team, and you know the name. Ave has raced in Trans Am. He's raced everything. Toyota Atlantic, USAC Midgets, a ton of other things. He's handling the team. He's rebuilt this race car. New motor, new rear end in that car this morning. Is he using too much car too early here?
Ooh, don't know, but it's sure making a good race. We'll tell you when we come back.
Welcome back on Speed with Derek Daly, Rick Benjamin, series champion Paul Gentilozzi in trouble. He's gone off and hit a tire barrier. He's bringing the Jaguar R Performance 1 car to pit road very slowly. Derek, it looked like he might have run out of brakes. Let's have another look.
It was the crossover on the runway. See him right? He's going to come into the picture right here. I don't know what happened here.
Oh, you know, the wheel's wobbling. I think he's broken the front end piece.
And he goes straight into the tire wall. Hard to know from those pictures. Jan Beekes, do you know anything anymore?
Well, the first thing they're going to check out is the suspension. That is what the team suspects. Now they're going over to the right front to take a look to see what it could be, but certainly at the pace that he came on to pit road, there appears to be something broken in the suspension. Yes.
Up front, a lead change. Joey Scarello has passed Klaus Graf to take over the lead. From the back on those fresh tires, Derek Daly.
And we mentioned earlier, managing your tires is so critical here. When you move to the back of the grid, as Joey did because he had an engine change, that's one of the penalties, you're also allowed to put 4 fresh tires on. Gentilozzi did it last year in a show car that Jan Beekes mentioned at the top of the show. It was absolutely spectacular with fresh tires come all the way through to win. These are BF Goodrich tires. You do have to manage them. But right now, Joey Scarello, this is his finest moment here in Trans Am racing. We're watching it as it unfolds.
From Smithtown, Long Island in the state of New York, Scarello, who started back in 13th spot today, has charged to the front of those fresh tires. He's got that Toyo Tire Chevrolet managed by Tony Ave in the lead. Here it is again.
And watch them coming out here. Depending how fast you come out of that chicane, you get a good run. And look how wide it is here. And Joey Scarello, just unchallenged, goes down the outside to get the perfect braking line. Let's have a look. Did Klaus Graf? Oh, he hits the grass. Whoa.
Now, that is where the track was patched on the previous turn. On the turn 9, a right-hander. Graf to the inside in 1, takes the lead back.
Now can Joey get the drag race down the inside of him? This is Graf crosses over to block him, to make Joey think twice if he's going to try down the inside. Big wide brake zone here. Can he do it? Can he do it? Oh, Graf chops across.
Now for Scarello, we're only a third of the way home, Derek. He's got the newer tires on the car. Doesn't he need to be a little bit patient?
As does Klaus Graf, who doesn't even have the new tires. But this is a great fight here. Klaus Graf, winner just a week ago in Portland. First win for Trans Am. But Scarello just having a blast here. His best ever Trans Am performance.
He came from nowhere to end up on the podium at Portland last week, did Scarello. And meantime, Graf with that victory.
And the budget difference here between this factory-supported Jaguar and the mom and dad-supported Chevrolet is just vast. So for Scarello to run this well, look at the grass. Look at the grass here. Look at the grass in the radiator. Now, will that cause a potential overheat problem for Klaus Graf. It is just full of grass. See it in there in the radiator? Whoa. And a day as hot as this, I would not like to have that grass in the radiator.
Remember that Graf and Gentilozzi have those AJV8s, the smaller fuel-injected cars. They did have overheating problems last season. But what's the situation, Jan Beekes, with Gentilozzi's car?
A very scary situation in that the steering rack, at the end of the steering rack is the steering rod. The steering rod came off of the steering rack, meaning that he had no steering on one side of the car, which would be the left front. And it is amazing that he was able to even bring this car back without serious damage. That's one of the scariest things that can ever happen to a driver. Thankfully, he loses time on pit road, but the car and Gentilozzi are A-OK.
Any chance that had anything to do with his earlier trip into the tires, Derek?
It was the left side, so I bet it has. Either it broke or in the panic to get the car rebuilt, maybe it wasn't quite put back together as tight as it needed to be. But what a very scary situation for Paul Gentilozzi. Jan?
With Paul, just get a quick word. Paul, looks like what we think is one of the scariest things, and that's when you have a steering failure. Was it something that may have related to when you went off course earlier?
Well, we changed all of those components, but it's hard to say. It was a rod end in the steering on the left side, and it suddenly just snapped, and I had no steering. I got it slowed down, so we didn't do a lot of damage, but we're too many laps down now to have an effect.
Tell us about track conditions. Obviously, sitting here in this heat, it's got to be sweltering, but what about the car and the conditions up to that point?
Well, we were just going very easily. We wanted to keep a pace, probably too easy. We let Scarello catch up, and then he got by Klaus when I had to get out of the way. But the track's fine, pretty sticky. Turn 9 has some patches, and it's very slippery.
Well, certainly a 200 start for Paul Gentilozzi that he'll never forget.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, looks as though Gentilozzi's effort to win that 30th career Trans Am event will have to wait at least a couple of weeks until the series gets to Toronto. Klaus Graf is the leader. He stretched it out to 1.4 seconds over Joey Scarello, who's come from the back to run second. We'll be right back. Welcome back on Speed. Action on pit road. The other two Rocket Sports Jaguars, Klaus Graf, who had the lead earlier on pit road. It's as though they're taking grass off the front grille. And then his teammate, Tommy Dreese, on pit road as well. Meantime, a lead change just moments ago. Joey Scarello, Derek.
And a great move in the brake zone. Look, he just attacks Klaus Graf, comes down the inside. Graf can no longer turn right to go to the apex. A great move by Joey Scarello. And at this stage, I'm sure that the grass that we see on the grille of Klaus Graf's car, I'm sure, is causing overheating, which is why we've just seen him in the pit lane.
Now, the reason that they were able to come in, we've been under full course yellow, an incident involving Philip Sims in the 24.
Completely missed the turn, and then you just watch left side just wallops the tire wall right here. Right in front of our television commentary box, which is right there, that window. That's us. Jan Beekes.
Go ahead. To say.
Sorry, you guys, the little technical difficulty there, but you can certainly see a bigger problem for the front of Phil Sims' Corvette. The good news is, Phil, you're A-OK, but that's back in that infamous turn number 8. What happened?
I come in the corner just like I had been all day, and when I got about midway through the corner, it just took off straight, like there was some dirt or something, grease or something on the corner. It lost all the steering. You couldn't have drove it no straighter, and it went in the wall.
You're saying that's not the only corner that has some dirt on it?
About all the corners got dirt on. Everybody's running real tight, and the dirt's flying every time you go through.
Well, glad you're okay.
All right, thanks.
So Philip Sims out, the 24 behind the wall with a lot of damage, Derek.
Well, believe it or not, Phil, when you go home and watch this little race on television, you'll see why the left tires had no grip, because of right here. This is not the racing line. When you put the outside wheels on the grass, then you bring her back in. The tires are now full of grass and dirt, and that causes you to autograph the wall, which is what he did right there.
Oh, boy. Well, Tuesdays on Speed Channel, it's Texas Hardtails. Take a look into the comedic world of custom motorcycle giant Rick Fairless. It's filled with bikes, beer, a whole lot of fun. Texas Hardtails, mostly true, totally unreal. Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern, and it is exclusively on Speed. Alongside Derek Daly, I'm Rick Benjamin, Jan Beekes, and Ralph Shaheen are on pit road. The complexion of this one has changed dramatically in the last few minutes. Still under full course yellow. We are just past halfway, looking for a restart. Randy Ruhlman has moved to second. All the Rocket Sports cars had come to pit road. Gentilozzi is out. Scarello will be the leader, but the points leader is right behind him, Derek.
And this is going to be a great shootout now, but Joey Scarello having his finest day in a Trans Am car. What a job he is now doing. Ralph?
You know, Derek, Joey is already a winner. He beat a brain tumor at the age of 13. And he got a call from Darrell Waltrip, the three-time NASCAR Nextel Cup champion during that period. He was a family friend of the Scarellos who knew Darrell. Had DW give this young guy a call just to say, hey, how's it going? Cheer up, hang in there. Well, just last year, Joey finally met DW. They only talked on the phone back then. They never had a chance to be introduced personally. Now they become friends, and Darrell's somewhat of a bit of a mentor. Every now and then they talk on the phone, and he gives him some racing advice. Maybe today he'll see him in victory lane.
Could happen today. You know, Joey Scarello is making his fourth career start here at Cleveland, Derek Daly. In 2001, he was 30th. 2 years ago, he was 18th. Last year, 5th. Now he's leading the show.
This is awesome. Joey Scarello named the BBS Most Improved Driver in a vote by his fellow peers. Last year, Joey's been in everything. Formula 4 2000s, Atlantics, Indy Lights. Avid NASCAR fan when he was growing up, but this will be a piece of videotape he will cherish because he took on the big boys here in a fair fight, sent them to the pit lane with all sorts of problems, but now he's going to be in a great fight. 2 Corvettes versus the Mustang. Scarello, Ruhlman, and John Bauckham right at the front of this field, and Amy Ruhlman is in 4th place. This is Amy right here in the red car, the red Corvette.
23 to go. Scarello has Ruhlman on the inside. Baukham's right there. Chevy side by side. Ruhlman gets by to take the lead. Here comes Scarello 3 wide.
Now the drag race. Here's the drag race. This is where he passed the Jag earlier on. I think he's got him down the inside again. Classic Cleveland move here. Can he pull it off? Can he pull it off? Can he force the issue? Oh, Ruhlman is still there. Ruhlman is still there. They are side by side. And what a great move.
John Bauckham following through, so Scarello drops from 1st to 3rd. Randy Ruhlman, a home game for Ruhlman. He is from the Cleveland area originally, now races out of Greensboro, North Carolina, in that preformed line product Chevrolet. Back of the pack to 1st 2 years in a row, Derek.
And when you look at that restart, Joey Scarello went so wide, which is the ideal racing line, but that opens the door for people to jump down the inside, which is exactly what they did.
So Ruhlman takes over with 22 laps to go. Scarello has come to 2nd. Or 3rd, I should say. That's John Bauckham, who's moved into 2nd spot in the 86. Amy Ruhlman is up to 4th now in her dad Bob Senwell Chevrolet, the 23. Paul Fix is 5th. Hema Mayer is 6th. Tommy Dracy up to 7th. Show us again what happened here, Derek.
And Joey Scarello is on the outside, the ideal racing line. Unfortunately, he leaves the door open. Here's the door down the inside. Ruhlman sees it's open, goes down to the apex, takes the lead. John Bauckham sees what he does, and now he squeezes Scarello. But Scarello now is in a drag race, so he's going to head straight down here and try and get inside him in the brake zone, but he doesn't manage to pull it off.
Randy Ruhlman stronger on the outside at Jim Durhag Chevrolet. He's your leader. We'll be back in Cleveland. Welcome back to a steamy Cleveland, Ohio. Trans Am on the tarmac on speed with Derek Daly, I'm Rick Benjamin, Ralph Shaheen, Jan Bikas on pit road. And Derek, Randy Ruhlman from the back to the front in that Corvette. 2nd a week ago at Portland. He's in the catbird seat again.
And when somebody takes the lead, you're not quite sure just how strong they can be. So we've watched the last 3, 4, 5 laps, and Randy Ruhlman definitely has taken control of this race. We saw Scarello be very strong earlier, but since he got behind Bauckham, he just doesn't seem to be in attack mode anymore for whatever reason.
Now, you had noted earlier that he was running some quicker laps than Bauckham at times. How is it that he can't get by him?
I don't know. Maybe in the brake zones he's not quite close enough. But we've also compared Randy Ruhlman's times, and Randy was pulling away almost a 7/10 of a second per lap to draw out this comfort zone here, which is now the most he's had for this race here at Cleveland.
I'm so impressed. First of all, they rebuilt the car, as we documented earlier, after that broken axle sent Ruhlman into the wall a day ago during practice. This is not a factory effort. Jim Durhag's been doing this for a long time, and they're well supported. But against that factory Jaguar team, they've been dominant this year.
Right, and we talk about rebuilding the car. This wasn't take it apart and bolt on new bits. This was actually get the hacksaw, chop off the front frame, put a jig up there, fly in a fabricator, get the welder out, literally cut, chop, weld, make new parts, and make a complete left front corner for that car that is now ahead of Balkan, which you see here in the Mustang, running second in his best day in Trans Am, also ahead of Scarallo.
Scarallo finished third last week at Portland. Certainly that team has improved dramatically under the leadership of Tony Ave. We showed you a graphic a moment ago. The battle for second, not even 0.6 of a second between these two young drivers. This is a great race.
This is a great race here, and it really is. Amazingly, when Cleveland is mechanically so difficult on cars, it is the big teams that have fallen by the wayside here, and the privateers who don't run on near the budget of the Jags, let's say, that are factory supported, who are pretty dominant here.
Now, overheating has been a problem for the Jaguar, the AJ V8. That's the smaller motor, 275 cubic inches, fuel-injected engine. They can run the car 200 pounds lighter, but that seems to be the Achilles heel for those two Jags, the car Graf is driving and Genlosi's machine.
Yeah, they have about 600 horsepower. 650 is about the top horsepower for the old two-valve engine. See Joey Scarallo, see the brake zone there?
Under-braking.
Joey just missed the turn-in point. Those type of small mistakes have allowed John Balcom just to maintain the advantage here as Mike Davis makes his way down to the last right-left chicane.
Hey, Davis in that ACS Mustang doing a terrific job. He's up into the top 5. We saw Hema Mayer in the other Jim Durhag Motorsports car, the 78. He had to duck onto pit road. Mayer had gotten up into the top 7 after starting toward the back. At the moment, no one has anything for Randy Ruhlman as we come up on 10 laps to go.
Had 3 podiums last year, which made up his best ever season. Best season on record. Finished 3rd in the points. I don't think he could have dreamed that the first 3 races would go this well for him. 1 at Long Beach, 2nd as you mentioned, and now if he can keep the reliability under him, I mean, he is dominant here right now at this particular point in the race against this competition. He has the upper hand.
Had a chance to talk to Tony Abe, as we mentioned. It's Tony Abe Motorsports now, campaigning the 06 for Joey Scarallo, the Toyo Tires Group A wheels car. Tony told me that he had been testing in Texas in a Daytona prototype that he's going to take to Daytona International Speedway for a new team in a few days. He'll be back in the driver's seat there. He came to the racetrack this morning to manage the effort during the race, discovered they had already changed engines. They had broken a gear and had to change a lot of the rear end, the center section of the car. So Scarallo, I'm very impressed by as well, considering all the new bits they've got on that car today.
Indeed, and very much, we mentioned it earlier, mom and pop.
Yep.
This is a family-run operation, basically. Tony Ave now comes into I think in fairness, raise the level of professionalism, and you see it now. Joey's talent is being rewarded here.
So Randy Ruhlman leads John Bauckham, Joey Scarallo, Tommy Dreese hanging on to 4th in front of Paul Fix. We'll be back. Back in Cleveland, and a tough end to a good day for Amy Ruhlman. Her first career Trans Am start, and her dad Bob's Chevrolet. Mechanical problem, looks like, Derek.
Yeah, which is such a shame because Amy, particularly in the early laps of this race, showed that she really had some pace. Dad's not here, has some sort of a groin injury, so keeps him out of the car. But Amy, we wanted to see her run just a little bit longer in that car.
She's gotten into the top 5, but the problem that sent her to the grass will keep her from finishing here today at Cleveland. But a good first outing in Trans Am. Amy is a veteran of GT1 national level competition. She's won several national races over the years, 5th in the national GT1 standings a year ago. Here's Randy Ruhlman continuing to dominate here. Started at the back after the mechanical work done. Whoa, Tommy Dreese, the 3rd Rocket Sports car on pit road.
So all the Jags eventually made pit stops. Paul Gentilozzi with the front suspension or steering failure. We saw Graf come in. We don't know exactly what happened Graf, but there was a lot of grass in the front radiator. And I don't know what happened Dreese. They didn't do anything on tires. They didn't look under the car. They looked in, had a little chat, and sent him on his way again. Very strange.
Now, during a previous full course yellow, he and his teammate Klaus Graf had come to pit road. They came back onto the racetrack and took the green for the restart. Graf with problems since. Dreese really carrying the flag here for Rocket Sports late in the going.
Yeah, even though he's now well off the base. Whenever you make a pit stop in a Trans Am race like this, you are pretty much done. The races just aren't long enough to come out from a pit stop like that.
Randy Ruhlman continues to lead John Bauckham, who runs second in his Ford. Joyce Garalo's Corvette is third. They're coming up on Max Lagarde in the Hypermax Chevrolet, the 83. He's had overheating problems. He's been in and out of the pit several times in that yellow car that you see Ruhlman just clipping by as he works through turn 8. Coming to the final couple of corners here at Cleveland. To me, Derek, this is just such a great racetrack. It's big, it's wide open, it's fast, and it's got to be difficult because, as you mentioned earlier, very few reference points for a driver.
And that is the point. When you come here, believe it or not, the runways have a large crown in the middle. So when you sit so low in these racing cars, as you cross over the runways, the crown is so high you cannot see what's the other side, and you're completely committed to long, fast corners, even though you can't see them. I mean, look, 90 feet wide is that runway leading onto this next one, which is 90 feet wide. But when you begin to work out where you can turn, where the line is, it's a lot of fun to drive racing cars fast here because there's so much room. And believe it or not, you can get away with mistakes here and not hit anything too hard, unlike most road circuits that you go to.
Randy Ruhlman, what is essentially a home game. His Preformed Line Products sponsor, Group and Coyote Products, they're located not very far from here at all. They're entertaining a big group here this weekend. And Ruhlman out of Greensboro, North Carolina now is setting sail. There'll be 5 to go this time by. Running order top of your screen, Paul Gentilozzi in his 200th career start, going for what would have been a record 30th Trans Am win today. No luck at all. Broken steering clutches.
Yeah, which we believe is a legacy from the crash he had in practice, which again was a mechanical failure. We saw that at the top of the show, water on the left front wheel, which put Gentilozzi into the wall. But you know what? Someone like Randy Ruhlman, when he starts at the back of the grid, he can take advantage of other people's mistakes if it helps you get to the front. But I still believe for this team to put that effort, why they didn't just pack it up and say, let's rebuild it for the next race, pack it up and go home. To put the effort they put in, that is commendable. And to see them out in front, what a payback.
Well, you have to think that for Jim Durhag and Randy Ruhlman, two guys who've been at this quite a while now, they sense an opportunity to finally win a Trans Am championship here in 2005.
Whoa, Randy Ruhlman, when he started this year, having gone, I think this is his 149th start, had never won a race before the start of this season, comes out at Long Beach at start 146, and he was just absolutely fit to be tied when he jumped out of that car, arms in the air. And now to see how well the season has gone, he may well be the championship contender that the Jaguars are going to have to deal with as this season rolls on.
A win, a second, maybe another win coming in Cleveland. But we'll be back. Coming up on 3 laps to go next time by at the Trans Am on the tarmac. We're at Burke Lakefront Airport in Cleveland, Ohio. Third race of the 2005 championship season here on Speed. Randy Ruhlman had to start at the back of the field after overnight repairs on his Corvette. He has climbed through the pack with the help of some mechanical issues on the part of some of the other key contenders like Paul Gentilozzi and Klaus Graf. But once Ruhlman got to the front, Derek Daly, no one's had anything for him.
You talk about working overnight. People could say Randy Ruhlman is the overnight sensation because you really didn't hear much from him in the early part of his career. Believe it or not, he made his Trans Am debut in 1990, 15 years ago. So the overnight success suddenly burst through and is the dominant driver, points leader in this year's championship. This could be a really interesting fight because Jim Durhag has a reputation for building good, reliable racing cars that are good over long distances, and we see that here again. Many drivers have got into Durhag's cars and won races, so that bodes well for this potential really good, strong championship run by Ruhlman.
Well, you certainly don't want to rule out the chances of one of the Rocket Sports Jaguars getting to the championship this season, but after today's event, there are only 6, perhaps 7 rounds to go in 2005, and Ruhlman will have a big advantage if he bags the victory here.
And those of you with the eagle eye, you can see that there's also grass. See that right there? There's also grass in the air intake at the just above the lip on the spoiler on this Corvette. I don't know where he got that. That, I believe, sent Klaus Graf. You see it right there, right there. See the grass stuck in the middle there. But I don't think this has caused him any overheating because his lap times, Rick, we've watched the scoring, his lap times have not dropped off in this car.
He's been consistently in the 115s. He's been one of the very few cars that can run in the 115s here.
Yeah, and he has pulled away even more and more from John Bauckham and Scarallo. They really have failed in their challenge here. So with 2 laps to go, Randy Ruhlman knows if this thing is reliable, I'm pretty much home and dry here.
10 seconds the lead for Randy Ruhlman as we get down. The white flag will be out next time by. Bauckham in the Mustang continues to be second. Scarallo in the other Corvette runs in third position. It's been a good day for both of those drivers. And Derek, on such a hot day as this, tire management is an issue, which you've talked about. I think brake management is an issue, too.
Yeah, indeed it is, yes. We saw the Jag last year with a lot of development on the brakes, trying to make, because these are heavy racing cars. So you stand the thing on its nose at the end of each of these long straights, and you have to manage these brakes, which many people will tell you is a skill you like your driver to be able to have the type of mechanical sympathy to bring these cars home in these intensely hot conditions.
Well, Randy Ruhlman has found something, a fountain of youth late in his driving career. He's got oval track experience in the old ASA Series as well as in the NASCAR Busch Series. His home has been in Trans Am racing, though, for quite a while, and he's been at it, as Derek pointed out, quite a while. White flag waving over the PLP 49. Durhag's machine all alone out in front with Randy Ruhlman at the controls. And Ruhlman is a guy who has always had the reputation of taking care of his equipment, so it may be a match made in heaven here. Durhag builds reliable cars. Ruhlman doesn't take many chances. He doesn't stick the car in trouble.
No, he does not. Veteran of many series. You mentioned the short track, oval track stuff. I remember back in the Del Mar days in the IMSA GT series, I think he won that also because I was involved in the GTP series back in those days, 1980-81 with the Nissan. Randy Ruhlman was in IMSA back then. And of course, guess who will be cheering loudest of all as he comes down to take the checkered flag here? His wife, Christy, who is a joy to see in the pit lane, be so supportive of her husband. And while they were tucked away in bed last night, these boys worked all night to give him the machinery to display his talent here. She will help celebrate in a big way with this team. What a great day for them.
Randy Ruhlman, final couple of corners here at Cleveland. Past the entrance to pit road, turn 9, turn 10, and headed for home at Burke Lakefront Airport. It'll be his second victory of 2005, his third top 2 in the young season. Randy Ruhlman is your winner at Cleveland. There's Christy Ruhlman and the rest of the Durhag Motorsports team celebrating on pit road. A terrific victory, a dominant run today for Randy Ruhlman.
I think that was the fabricator that got the hug there.
Yeah, Greg Gay.
Yeah, great job he did. What a payback.
Imamar is a lapped car, second spot to John Bauckham in that yellow and green Mustang. When we continue from Cleveland here on Speed, we'll talk to the winner, we'll talk to the runner-up, and more. Welcome back to Burke Lakefront Airport on Speed. Final results of the Trans Am on the tarmac. Randy Ruhlman's second win of the season.
What a payback for that team who stayed up all night to rebuild that racing car to come from the back of the grid. That was impressive. What a dream season he's having.
John Bauckham second, Joyce Scarallo third. The names you'd expect up front, Graf and Gentilozzi at the back of the field.
The Jags did not have a good day today.
Not at all. Let's get the thoughts of the winner. Randy Ruhlman's with Ralph Shaheen.
What an amazing up and down season it has been for Randy Ruhlman. Here you are getting victory lane, but boy, it was a tough road to hoe to get here today. Tell me about coming all the way through the pack like you had to do.
Well, I tell you, I said before the race, I can't say enough about this Durhag Motorsports team. These guys never say die. I know a lot of drivers say that about their crew, but I wouldn't trade a single man on this crew for any other team around. They stayed up until 5:36 in the morning. We knew we had a good car this morning in warm-up. We were just hoping that the setup we had picked out would last for the race, and it did. It just kept getting stronger, and it was a long road from the back, and guys like Joey and John, they made great charges to the front, and I kept watching Joey, and I knew if he could make it back from the back, I could too, and he made one little slide going into turn 3 on the restart, and we were able to pick him up, and from then on, I just did my best to concentrate on the track and drive smooth, and had Jim Durhag in my ear the whole time, so it was great.
His second win this year, Jan, and after 18 hours and no sleep, I think they'll sleep good tonight.
And I think there's some other people who will sleep well tonight, one of which would certainly be John Bauckham. This is the first time he's been on the podium. His best career prior was 4th, now a 2nd. Awesome run out there today. Any dramas?
No, actually it was very smooth, clean race. Tried to keep the tires on the car early on, and it worked out in the end. Lost the brakes at the very end, but I was far enough ahead of Joey to stay out there. We loved it. Just want to thank the crew and all the people and our sponsors, Map Quality Engineering and Software Toolbox, and one special person, Caesar Cohn. So we certainly couldn't do it without him.
Congratulations. A great run today for John Baucom.
John Baucom's best career finish, Joey Scarallo, comes home third. Well, that wraps up our coverage of Trans Am on the tarmac at Cleveland. Join us on Sunday, July 17th, 12:30 Eastern. Our next Trans Am Round on Speed comes from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Stay tuned. Speed Touring Car coverage from Lime Rock is up next on Speed. For Derek Daly, I'm Mingus, Ralph Shaheen, Iverick Benjamin. So long from Cleveland.